I'm Councilmember Jose Huizar. This is the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I've been joined by Councilmember Mitch Englander. We will now start this meeting. Item number 13 is the Director's Report. We'll receive and file that item. And we will now go to item 1. And items 1 and items 2 through 7. If we could take those on consent. We've heard those items, and I understand we amended it at the previous meeting to include Valley Village, Faircrest, and Old Granada Hills.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I think CD2 included language for Valley Village that the clerk already has.
Yes, that's regarding a condition for that item.
Okay, we'll include that in there. So we'll move that on consent with Mr. Englander's consent. Item 8 we'll also approve on consent. That is an item regarding notification of proposed demolitions by Councilmember O'Farrell. So we'll approve that item.
And Councilman, can you ensure that it's the October 15th version that is being approved?
Yes, the
Okay.
October 15th version that's being approved. And items 9 and 10, we will continue to December 2nd. And I will wait for the clerk to get back to her seat so she I could do that. You can leave them here.
Well, he doesn't want to speak since you're...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, did you want to... Items 9 and 10, we will continue to September 2nd, 2014.
December 2nd.
December 2nd, 2014. Okay. So that leaves us with items 11 and 12, and we have a special agenda item number 1. So on item number 11, we could call that up, please.
Sure. Item 11, Councilman, is an appeal by Dean Kincaid and Bill Ritchie, and they're appealing a haul route to export 6,915 cubic yards at 2230 through 2250 South Fox Hills Drive in CD5.
Good afternoon. Cora Johnson, Board Secretary for the Building and Safety Commission. We did have a hearing on September 16th, 2014 to haul or export 6,915 cubic yards from Fox Hills Drive. The haul route was approved and the MND was adopted. We had 3 conditions that were added to the haul route. One was no staging allowed in the residential area along the haul route. The second condition was to add an additional truck crossing sign. And the third item was to add an additional flag person, which would be placed at the intersection of Kerwood Avenue and Tennessee Avenue. I'm available for any questions. If
Great,
you have
thank you. We don't have any cards except for CD5, so let me call CD5 on this. Sean Bayless.
Yes, sir. There are community members here and the applicant's representatives here, but ask them to kind of hold off. We've had meetings with the applicant and the neighborhood, and this appeal, I think, was the push for points of clarification in the approval of the haul route. And so to add those levels of clarification that the Building and Safety Commission addressed, but there was concern from the community that staging and parking issues weren't fully addressed. So we request just 2 minor alterations to existing conditions, and that would be 3A, which says which says staging is allowed on site and 1 truck on the east side of Fox Hills Drive in front of the project site. Trucks are not allowed to stage on Pico or Sawtell Boulevard. The slight alteration being the next sentence: no staging or parking allowed in the residential area along the haul route or project site.
That was your first suggested amendment?
Yes, sir. And then on page 5 of the approval, under specific conditions. It's condition number 8. We request that it read, the City of Los Angeles Department of Transportation, telephone number listed, shall be notified 72 hours prior to beginning operation in order to have, and the change is, 1 temporary no parking sign posted in front of the project site. The concern is we just want to make sure that there is no parking or staging within the residential community around that project site.
Okay,
Those are
thank you.
two
Thank you
requests.
so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
We now have some cards that were just turned in on item 11. We have the appellant, Dean Kincaid.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Dion Kincaid, and we wanted a clarification. I'm here not only on my own behalf, but on the neighborhood. We have restricted parking. We have to buy our parking. And if they post no parking signs on the haul route, we have no place to park. There are a lot of seniors, and there's also some people that are disabled. We have oxygen being delivered. We have caretakers. Many of the buildings in our neighborhood were built in the 30s and 40s, so they not only have no parking for the residents, there is no guest or visitor parking. New buildings that are being built do have residential parking, but they offer no guest parking. And if you take our parking away from us, we cannot park one block over or around the corner because our permits are specific to our street and to our block. And we get citations, we get tickets. The closest parking that we could do would be maybe 4 to 6 blocks away. And if I had to ask my gardener to bring his equipment haul it in 4 to 6 blocks, he won't do it. If you ask somebody to haul the oxygen tanks 4 to 6 blocks, they won't do it. So we don't have any place other than the street parking, and that's what we pay for. So we're asking that the staff report be amended on item, I think it is C8, to have the no parking signs posted only in front of the site. And the developer is in agreement with this. He does not need them along the haul route. We actually need parking.
Great, thank you. And I believe that some of that was addressed by Council District 5 in their amendments, so thank you very much.
Yes, it was. My only concern was where it says that there will be no parking. The residents can still park. That's what I want to make sure.
Okay, thank you. Don Tolentino.
Good afternoon, sir. So I have a little bit. We have a little bit concern on item number 3/A. You mentioned that we cannot.
Can you
park.
speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Though we cannot park. He kind of mentioned that staging is allowed on site and one truck on the east side of Fox Hills Drive in front of the project site. Trucks are not allowed to stage on Pico Boulevard and Sotel Boulevard. No staging allowed in the residential area along Howell Route. But he added one word, which I don't think we need one. We need one truck in front of the property. So once we finish filling up the one inside the property, then the other one can go in.
Okay. All
I was
right.
hoping item number 3/A stays the same.
Thank you. I think those might have been dealt with in the amendment, so thank you very much. And can further talk to CD5 there with, and about the amendments that were just made. Okay.
That's all,
Thank,
sir.
thank you. Pamela Ward? Pamela Ward.
Yes, I'm just here to say that it would be very much impossible for me.
Can you speak into the microphone, please? If you can move it down, you can move it.
That live on Fox Hills and Tennessee Drive to walk 4 to 6 blocks just to get from where I park back to my home or to carry groceries or anything like that. So we would very much appreciate that our parking be open to the residents who have the permits to park there, and not that we would not have no parking signs up and down Tennessee and Fox Hills Drive. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. So, we could move to deny the appeal and approve the haul route and include the conditions as mentioned by Council District 5 on that item. Do you have any questions or comments? Or okay.
Question for staff, if I could.
Sure.
So,
Staff, can you mind coming up, please?
and I know a lot of the amendments adhere to the specific questions and concerns that were brought up. This is a PPD, correct?
This is a what?
It's a PPD, preferential parking district. Is that the area that they were talking about in CD5? Is they pay for their specific on-street parking? Is that because it's a PPD?
I'm not aware of that. We just get the conditions from the Department of Transportation and Street Services, and they designate that if you're going to put the no parking signs up, that you notify them 72 hours before.
No, I realize that. One of the
Yes.
speakers indicated earlier that they actually pay for the parking by permit, and that's why I was wondering if this is a PPD.
I am not aware of that.
Is there anybody at the city, maybe the council office can address that?
I believe it's PPD District 1. in that
PPD
area.
District 1?
Yep.
And then, and so just to address some of the concerns that were brought up in terms of no parking versus no stopping, I know are two different things. For deliveries, particularly life-threatening critical services like oxygen delivery and things that were mentioned, how are those addressed?
Sure. This is a haul route, so we're actually limiting the actions of the developer. This has no bearing on the existing activities of the neighborhood. So their deliveries, the workers that they have today, they can have during the duration of the project. This approval of the haul route is only to limit the developer to one parking space on-site and one parking space off-site on the street.
Not
to
the folks in the PPD, they won't be affected.
100%
Just-
will not be
I just
affected.
wanted to reiterate that again so they.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this was originally scheduled for council tomorrow. However, it's been postponed for council for Friday, so it's October 24th.
Okay, so we will move to deny the appeal, approve the haul route, and include the conditions for Council District 5, and this will be on Council 24th. Okay, thank you. So ordered.
And Councilman, just to ensure as to the second appellant,
And just want to make sure that Bill Ritchie is not here. Bill Ritchie? Okay. Thank you. So ordered. Next item?
next item, Councilman, is the last item is an appeal by Nancy Bush. She's appealing the action of the Planning Commission as to the disapproval of various entitlements for a two 6-story multiple family building in CD 15.
Hi, welcome. We heard this item before, I understand. You could just give us a brief synopsis as to where we are. We heard the full project at the previous meeting. Now, we could just give us a briefing as to where we are in the process.
Mr. Chair, members of the council, Greg Shoup representing the Planning Department. You've asked us to return on the 21st. You've elected to recommend to the City Council that this appeal be approved. The general plan amendment, as approved by the mayor, also be approved, and they report back with the necessary paperwork and documents today. In reviewing this, we've run into some major issues we've had with the CEQA, the environmental, this EIR on this project. We've consulted with the city attorney. The city attorney's office wants to consult with their not only land use, but also have it reviewed by the environmental city attorneys. There has been some letters that you received from Ben Resnick, representing the property owners to the north, and that's raised some concerns that we'd like to address and have additional time to address this to make these findings stronger and more bulletproof.
It's my understanding, we heard this item in September 9th, and yeah, as you mentioned, at that time, the committee instructed planning to make the necessary findings and conditions to grant the appeal and approve the proposed project. And it's my understanding that as of today, you have some language to be finalized. Is that correct?
Yes, we still are not struggling, so to speak, but we want to strengthen the environmental findings as part of the EIR. We've completed the majority of the work. You have not seen it because we're not releasing it, because we still have some work to do on it. Again, we prefer that it be handled once we have meetings. We've talked to the developer representative. They're in agreement to continue it. The council office in agreement. With the potential for litigation, we just want to be a little more cautious in how we move forward.
Shauna Bonson, City Planning. We're just simply still working on it.
Okay.
We need additional time. Thank you.
And how long would that take?
We're asking for 3 months.
3 months?
Yes.
3 months. Well, this is what I'm a request, that we move this item to council. We have reviewed it thoroughly at the previous meeting. The findings and conditions were presented at that time, and that prior to it being heard in council, and you would need to work that out with the council president as to when you could hear it in council, that language be finished. So we'll move it today if it's with the concurrence of my colleague, if that's okay. And then as long as you finish that language before we get to full council. Yes, sir.
I would agree with that, and hopefully we can close that time frame a little bit. Perhaps if additional environmental review or whatever it is that needs to be done, perhaps the applicant can help, because I know we're short-staffed, and that is why I'm sure where the 3-month suggestion and request is coming in. Fortunately, while we're short-staffed, the economy is picking up, and we're getting a lot more work, and that is coming in, and we want to be as diligent, as careful, and as critical as we should be in reviewing all of those documents and updating our findings. But having said that, I think if we can, perhaps maybe we can work with the applicant, and they can provide some additional resources to help that time frame, that would help.
Absolutely.
So I'm all for moving it out of this committee and moving it to council, but then it becomes a timeline of you working with the applicant and the council president. Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll move to grant the appeal and approve the proposed project with the necessary findings and conditions, and that the final language is being finished prior to council. Thank you. No, it's ordered. Next item.
Next item, Councilman, that concludes the regular agenda. It's the special agenda, which is a CLA report on 8 projects that were recommended by the TFAR committee. And Mr. Oscar Isco from our office is here.
Okay. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and distinguished member of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. The item before you pertains to the city's program involving the transfer of floor area rights in the Central City Community Plan area and the Public Benefits Payment Trust Fund associated. In brief, TFAR is the transfer of unused development rights from one site to another in order to promote city land use objectives. Article 4.5 of the Los Angeles Municipal Code regulates the process for approving such transfers of floor area and includes the review and approval of a transfer plan which identifies and describes the donor site from which the TFAR is being provided, the receiver site that is utilizing the TFAR, the amount of floor area to be transferred, and the public benefit payment associated with the transaction. The public benefit payment is intended to mitigate the impacts of new development within a 2-mile radius of the receiver site by providing funds that will serve a public purpose, such as provide affordable housing, public open space, historic preservation, job training and outreach programs, and other benefits as mentioned in the report. In cases where it's city-owned property that is serving as a donor site, there is a transfer payment tied to the transaction, which, along with the public benefit payment, are deposited into the TFAR Public Payment Trust Fund. Several projects in the recent past have utilized TFAR, including the Wilshire Grand, 1500 Figueroa Street, and 1430 Figueroa Street, and have added to the approximate $4.48 million that is currently available in the trust fund. As per Section 5.416 of the Los Angeles Administrative Code, deposits held in the trust fund shall be dispersed, 1, after receipt of a non-binding recommendation by the TFAR Committee, 2, within 5 years after receipt of those funds, and 3, for use on projects or programs providing a public benefit as set forth in Section 14.59 of the Los Angeles Municipal Code. The TFAR's recommendation, the committee's recommendations on December 20th, they began the process of soliciting applications that were provided to Council Districts 1, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 14, all which fall within the 2-mile radius of the receiver sites. Through this process, 14 applications were received and considered, and 8 have been recommended for funding, which are identified in Attachment A to this report. The report further requests an allocation of approximately 15% of the trust funds available, or $665,000, to the City Planning Department for assistance with administering the TFAR program. Section 5.416 of the Los Angeles Administrative Code allows for up to 15% of the trust funds to be used for administrative purposes. The recommended actions have no impact on the general fund, as these funds are held in a special fund for the purposes in which I've described. This concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to address those.
Very much. I've thoroughly reviewed this as it was going through the process, so I have no questions. Any questions, comments? Okay, we'll go through public comment. Adam Morgans, and then Crystal Morgans.
Thank you to the council. I think we misunderstood the process that occurred earlier with the ICO that the council agreed to pass.
Yes, you did.
So we wanted to express our support and our thanks to the council for approving that. Again,
okay.
our first time filling out a public comment card, so apologize for the mistake, but we're
That's
big
right.
believers in the ICO and what it seeks to do for the city.
Okay, great.
That was the same card, Jonathan Tucker. I apologize.
Jonathan Tucker, same.
We're just north of the La Brea Hancock area, so essentially La Brea, Highland, 3rd, Beverly is our area of concern. We are seeing the same impact from developers as is the area to our south. So thank you again to the council. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. And you said your freshman time doing this? You got to go through initiation. Have you gone through the initiation yet? It's secret.
Does it relate to fraternity initiation in any way? Okay, because we've done that.
No, it's okay. Just joking.
We thank you very, very much for your help. This is an important issue for our neighborhood, and it's Gallup.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the council.
So on special agenda item number 1, we'll move that item with no objection.
Yes, we'll approve the 4 CLA recommendations, Council.
Pardon me?
We'll approve the 4 CLA recommendations.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And we need to reconsider items 1 through 7 in the regular agenda because apparently 2 additional communities need to be added.
Yes, we will reconsider items 2 through 7, 1, 2 through 7, and have that open now with no objection.
Yes.
And we will add the communities of Larchmont Village and Miracle Mile. Okay.
Very good.
Okay, on this item 1 through 2 through 7, we are amending the report to include Larchmont Village and Miracle Mile. And so we'll approve that item as amended.
Yes, sir.
No objection, so ordered. And now, we would want to reconsider the special item number 1 if there are public speakers that we missed. Can we get those cards, please, or the names?
We submitted our cards. I'm happy to do one after we speak.
There they are. Yeah. Okay. It's behind some other cards. Becky, welcome.
Thank you. So we just wanted to raise some issues on the TFAR allocation, particularly for CD14. My name is Becky Dennison. I work with the Los Angeles Community Action Network. We do community organizing around housing and equitable development in downtown and South LA, and definitely want to make sure that TFAR funds are used for equitable development and the highest and best, highest need and best use of very limited public benefit funds. And so I just have concerns about all of the money going into the historic core, the Broadway streetscape and facade lighting, the streetcar, and the Friends of Spring Street Park, when the rest of downtown is in desperate need of public benefits as well, and particularly the Skid Row community, which has a lot of pressing needs and always told that there's no funding. And so when there are limited funding pools available, we want to make sure that our projects are considered as well. I raise concern because the facade lighting just got a big allocation of public dollars, and as well I was just at the Planning Commission on a completely different issue, and there's a whole nother large project coming forward with $2.5 million going to these exact 3 things. So it just seems unfair that these things would get double funding when our projects are getting 0 funding.
Thank you. Steve Diaz.
Good afternoon, Council Member and Council Members. My name is Steve Diaz. I'm also with LA CAN. I'm here today to really voice my concern around the allocation and the TFAR money to the project, specifically in CD14. It is really alarming that more additional money would be going to the Broadway streetcar and bring Broadway back after there's already a special tax that's been imposed to businesses, and there's already Metro money, there's already formerly Community Redevelopment Agency money. It just really seems that this money is constantly being used on a project when there's tremendous needs elsewhere in the community, such as in Skid Row. Compare the allocation that has occurred with bringing Broadway back to that of Operation Healthy Streets, there's nowhere near the equivalent of the same amount of spending that's happening. And I really urge the council, the committee, and everyone to take that into account as we move this budget allocation forward.
Great. Thank you. Just for the record, this is one portion of several TFAR monies that are being given out, and several projects are contributing to this TFAR. And in fact, just last week, there was some TFAR given out by the Greenling Project, which a good portion of that went to several homeless initiatives as well. This is not the full picture on all of TFAR. So with that, we'll approve this item and move it forward with no objection. Next item.
Public comment, Councilman.
Okay, we have one card. William Cusbin. William Cusbin.
First of all, thank you, gentlemen, for your service to our community. I don't really understand what happened at the beginning with items 1 through 8, but after something happened that might not be heard on those topics, I filled out a public comment. Are you against loopholes in the laws and codes? Do you believe in the democratic process? Are you against discrimination? August 12th, at the Planning and Land Use Committee during public comment, I submitted a statement. Following is the same statement with minor edits about the discriminatory provisions of the RFA district initiation process included in the baseline mansionization ordinance. I request that if changes are made to the BMO, then 1, the term lessees should be removed as they have no real property ownership and therefore no vested interest in the property. The loophole waiver of signature requirement for the establishment of an RFA district, if initiated by the Director of City Planning, City Planning Commission, or City Council.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. I'm sorry.
I prepared this in writing so it can go on the public record.
And we will read it and put it in the record. Thank you. I love your tie, by the way.
Well, thank you very much. It's my Halloween costume.
All right. What are you? Just a pumpkin? All right. Thank you very much. Any other business?
No, Councilman.
That concludes this meeting. And Mr. Englander, thank you for your efficiency in this meeting.